All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow, and remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest for you. I'll give you a couple of words about my guest. Award winner, evolving, director, creative, all the way from LA, y'all. Give it up for the one and only Miss Christal Ransom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ty.
Man, thank you. First and foremost, seriously, thank you for being on the platform today. And we're going to talk about you because we believe in giving people their flowers around here. And you got some flowers that you have to be given. So I know people are like, well, who's Christal Ransom? Let me tell you who Christal Ransom is, okay? All right, so look here. Emmy and NAACP award-winning TV producer and casting director, okay? Emmy award-winning, that means like when the nominations came and they opened the envelope and they read, her name was on it. So nobody else's name, but her name. So when they say, hey, Christal Ransom, you are the winner. Yes, that type of award, yes. That Emmy award winning, yes, okay. But not only that, ladies and gentlemen, not only that, when she first started out as an admin assistant for E Entertainment, all right? So we're talking 18 plus years in television alone, okay? Currently producing for syndication and cable networks. Some of the networks she's worked for, oh, you asked, let me tell you, okay. Fox Television, CBS, NBC, Viacom, you know, BET, all that good stuff. The OWN Network, y'all know y'all gotta get y'all Oprah, stop playing. And Food Network, and y'all know I love my guy, Fieri, you know what I'm saying, Divers and Drive-Ins and all that good stuff. Okay, but currently casting director for VH1. Okay, absolutely. So these are just, look, that's who Christal Ransom is, okay? So if y'all like, oh, yes, all right, big status over here, big status. So first, as I said, like I read through all those. That's us giving you your flowers because, you know, being a person of color, especially a woman in color, you know, in the television industry, you know, that has to be pretty stressful at times and, you know, groundbreaking. So let me just ask my first question to you. So starting out as an admin assistant and rising through the ranks to be a casting director and award-winning, you know, at that, how has that humble start prepared you for like where you are now?
That's a good question. For me, taking before the job with E Entertainment, growing up in the inner city, growing up with a single mom, growing up just in the environment that I grew up in was really the most humbling, but best situation I could have ever been in because it really gave me the drive and the humility to deal with the industry. And I didn't even know that. I didn't even know what it was preparing me for, you know, because a lot of times you could focus on the things that you don't have. And especially growing up, I grew up in East Oakland, you know what I'm saying? So growing up there, I didn't know any producers. I didn't know anybody in entertainment. You know, I just didn't know those type of people. I didn't even really know many people that had 2-parent homes, you know? So for me, my drive was really seeing my mother and her hustle and her, you know, work a job, worked hard, you know what I'm saying, by herself to then, you know, just make sure that I had the things that were necessary, you know, in order to keep me confident. Because what she did was she poured everything to me. Hence me graduating from college and then coming to LA. I came to LA with an 86 Honda Civic and literally $900. I used to be a waitress at El Torito, okay, as a cocktail waitress. And it's so funny because prior to that, like I thought $900 was a lot of money, you know, because I saved up every dime, you know, my tips and everything.
Yeah.
So then when I came out to LA, you know, I had my car and I had the opportunity to stay with my friend's mother. Thank God for her. And I had my little $900 and I thought I was I thought I was ready for the world. So anyway, I came out here and I saw that quickly that it wasn't that simple, you know. I did have the luxury of getting, you know, being in the right circles, but it still wasn't, nothing was happening for me. So then finally, I've always had like a big personality, because it's so funny, because people who really know me know that I'm an introvert and I'm an extrovert. I'm both, you know. But anyway, so I would always, you know, go into this temp agency called Apple One. You know, they were big back then. They have a few now, but back then, like, that was a big temp agency to go through. Because I had finally, after like 6 months of being here, I'm like, I have to get a regular job. Like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like the dream, all of the glitz and the glam and all of the smoke and mirrors, the reality sunk in, and my $900 was down to $10. So I had to get a job, right? So I would always, you know, poke my head into this temp agency. And I would always just say, you know, I really want to become a producer. You know, if you guys have anything, just let me know. They weren't really, I mean, they had administrative jobs. They, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, well, we don't have any production jobs, but, you know, we get anything, we'll definitely keep you in mind, because I always had this big personality. One day out of the blue, they called me. And at the time, I actually had an opportunity. Actually, I had gotten the job through a different temp agency to work at Boeing Jets as a administrative assistant, making $20 an hour. Now, back then, that was like, woo!
No, that's funny.
Hour,
yes.
Okay?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Trust me.
I had the job. I had landed a good job. So anyway, so I accepted the job, and I was supposed to start that following week. And I got this call from Apple One. And they were like, you know, Christal, we have this job at E! Entertainment, and you know, and it's indefinite, but it's $10 an hour. I think it was $10.50. Do you want it? You said you want to be in the entertainment. You said this is what you wanted. I called my mother, because you know I'm her only child, so I called her on speed dial. Her favorite thing is pray on it. You got to pray on it. You know
Yes.
So I prayed on it, and I was led to go there. So I burnt the bridge down for the $20 an hour job, you know, and I went to this job that was indefinite. It didn't like, I was so driven. The indefinite part did not even register to me that could be one day, or that could be 2 years, you know?
Exactly.
I started the job. By that Friday, it was done. That's what people don't understand. By that Friday, it was done. But where I was at, where the position that they had me, I was right in the front. So everybody had to come in and see me first before they even went inside of the door, right? I didn't, because everything works. Everybody has to understand everything happens for a reason.
Yes, it does.
And if you cannot even see, you got to just, as soon as you're ready to throw in the towel is when everything hits. I swear it happens to me like this every time. So anyway, back to the story. So I would see this guy, and he would come in every day, and he was like, I don't know, I was young, so he was cute to me, you know, a white guy. And he was the host of a show back then called Talk Soup. I don't know if you remember that. So it was back in
Talk Soup. Yes, I do.
Yep. And so he was, you know, I think he was new to the show, and I think he was young, and he was still humble, you know, and he would talk to me, and I was like, you know, hi, we would chit chat. And, you know, I finally, that Thursday, I got noticed that Friday was my last day. I was devastated.
Wow.
When I say devastated, so I ended up going inside the cafeteria, sitting down in my little top ramen where I can afford, you know what I'm saying? And the guy was sitting in there, you know, but that was so random, because why would a host be in the cafeteria, you know? He was in there, and I went up to him. I said, you know, today's my last day. He was like, what? Why is today? He thought it was permanent. He was like, why is today your last day? I said, you know, I want to become a producer, and this is what I want to do. You know, I had the same story for every single person that I've met, right?
That's right.
And he said, give me your number. Give me your number. Now, mind you, I remember I told you, I had already been around certain industry people. People had told me to give me their number. I believe back then, if you said you was going to do something, you know, you was going to do it. Everything was following through. And so I took his card, and I gave him my number. And then that was like on a Friday. That Sunday, I got a call she was executive at Fox at the time. And she, you know, said, hey, I heard great things about you. You know, Brian's one of my best friends. You know, we're starting this new show. And I'm going to talk to you. I want to bring you in. Let's talk. I'm like, okay, go in, you know what I'm saying? And it was by far, for me, the worst interview I've ever had in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I mean, it just wasn't, she really didn't ask me anything, which is almost like she wanted to see who I was. Really, it was really interesting,
It was just like,
yeah,
check a little bit. Yeah, okay.
When I say they should have had a gurney for me, because when I say by the time the interview was done, I was like, I'm about to go back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not working. I got $3. This is not working. I got, something got to give. Literally time, maybe about, I'm gonna say maybe 4 days later, I got an offer. And it was for a researcher. They don't even have those anymore. But it was a researcher. It was under a PA. You know what I'm saying? But it was a researcher. And it was $500 a week. That was good money for me. $500 a week. And it was the first season of Divorce Court.
Okay.
Judge Maybelline. This is back in the day with Judge Maybelline.
Yeah.
And this was one of the first. Yep. And that, that was a big show back then.
Oh man, look here.
Yeah.
I watch Judge Maybelline faithfully sometimes, just be
she would read when I say she give you
like, we all know how this one, like, ooh, I don't even
right. Yeah. And so that was my first show. And and from that point, it was on. It was on, from that point. So really, the moral of the story is what I tell people. Sometimes those big things come in small packages, because had I took the $20 an hour job, yeah, it was a $20 an hour job. I think it had longevity. Boeing Jets is a big company. But I don't think that I would have ever been where I am today. So yeah, that's how I started out.
So, okay. First and foremost, that is a fantastic story. I love it because it speaks volumes to a lot of things. And, one of the things that I like about it is, it speaks to the heart. You said up front what you wanted, man, I want to be a producer. I want to do this. I want to do that. Man, look, I want to get into the industry. This is what I want to do. Well, we don't have that, but you can do this, and then it's really about, okay, do I really want this? Because now it's becoming, all right, I got to put food on the table. I got to pay bills. I got to do this. I got to do that, versus what I really desire, what I really want. Like, this is my passion. Like, I know it is, regardless of, like you said, man, look here. It started off that Monday, ended that Friday. Got a call that Sunday to do something else. That took you to a whole nother, platform that, like you said, I felt, man, you know what? I felt that interview was one of the most horrible interviews. And you just knew, look here, just go ahead and get me up out of here. 4 days later, boom, next thing you know, you're on Divorce Court, Judge Maybelline. And since then, been ripping and running.
Ripping and running.
Ripping and running. Okay. All right. Just been in the game. So you are correct. Sometimes, man, those big things come in small packages and you have to be patient, but you have to be true to what you desire. Because absolutely. Seriously, I mean, I try to talk to youth, who are leaving high school, going into college, and I'm not against going to college, but I'm a firm believer in return on investment. Okay. So college is an investment, and sometimes we don't know what to invest in, and we're told what to invest in, and it's not really our passion. We really go and do things, and we are sort of forced into this lifestyle that's, well, basically, we're just forced into that lifestyle. I'm not gonna really get into all that.
No, I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. So the fact that you follow, your passion and your heart, no, this is where I want to be. And as you said, look, that $20 is right here. All right. It was right here. Like, look here, Christal, girl, look here. You know what? We're gonna take this trip. Man, we're gonna go shopping. Ooh, man, there's these boots. Da 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 da. Yeah, that's cool. I gotta get rid of you though, because the passion right here is like, look here, no, like this is, look, you can have all that and then some, and be happy at what it is that you do. So.
But you know what, Ty, is so funny. I know so many people that I met along the way when I first came out here, And so many people are not here anymore. In terms of they didn't have the patience, or they didn't have the resources, or production is not easy. I commend actors, because I'm like, I've seen people who have been chasing that dream for so long, busting tables, sleeping on couches. They want it so bad that they're willing to do whatever that they have to do until they get it. And I think that the culture, the way it is now, I think it's tricky, because I'm not saying that these young people aren't ready for hard work, but nowadays you can go on Instagram and get some followers and get rich.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay. So look, you know what? All right, man, I wasn't even trying to touch this.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
See, okay. All right. Look, now let's really get into this, Miss Christal Ransom. Now, see, you know what? I was trying to be smooth about this. I was really trying to be Billy B, Colt 45 with y'all.
You got that. But no, I want to get into the real.
But let's get into this real. So now you just brought up something very, very, very interesting. Now, you being a casting director, okay, you know talent when you see it. You know real talent when you see it. And I'm pretty sure you've been in rooms where, because look, you got to know. You got to know. There are people at home being like, now I know good and well, why did they cast that girl for a lead? They could have cast the XYZ for a lead. I think she should have played da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he should have played woo, 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 woo. It's always, you know people like that. I know people like that. We know people like that. So when you get these influencers, because the studio or the industry is like, well, hey, you know what? How many followers do they have? Well, it doesn't really matter, because they have no talent. And, they're like really difficult to work with, because in their mind, they're like 10 feet tall. But in reality,
they're A-listers in their mind.
Right. Like and I'm like, no, you're not. You're not even like D-list. And I don't even know if there's a D-list, but if there is a D-list, you're not even on that. So like, come on. Like, man, they're not even letting you in the parking lot. All right. If this is really based on skill, you're not even getting in the parking lot.
Right.
So you being a casting director, how much has this, like, I'm not going to say hinder, but like these influencers, like how much has that influence what really gets put on and who gets put on?
That's a good question. I mean, it has influenced it greatly, because at the end of the day, it's all about numbers. And, reality, there was no, we did have reality. We had the real world and things like that. But these reality people, these influencers are giving people a run for their money. You see what I'm saying? Because now the culture is different. It's all about drama and conflict, and and you don't even really have to say much. As long as you fighting and throwing some bottles and you know what I'm saying? It's a distraction. It's a distraction. And so the people that really went to theater school and all these different, they have all this training, they're getting kicked out, because at the end of the day, they want that shock value. And so these people are literally, I have met actresses and actors that have literally taken some YouTube classes, and they have developed a skill of being an actor and actress just off YouTube, So I think it's very difficult, because as a casting director, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I do consider the followers. I do. Not only do I consider the followers, I consider the look. I consider, I do consider it's all about that personality. It's the same thing. Like a lot for me, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I was a straight A student. No. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that I was necessarily a perfect person, but my personality, along with my intellect, took me a long way. So these kids nowadays are able to learn things online. They don't even have to leave their house. So if they have a big personality, some followers, and a YouTube, listen, you could win that way. So it does make it challenging, because at the end of the day, I do have to factor in the numbers. I have to factor in. But me, I like, it doesn't matter if you have 1 million followers, but you're not good. I don't care. I'll take that in. You know what I'm saying? But yes, as a casting director, it does make it difficult, because a lot of these networks would prefer that these people had a following, because naturally everything is being streamed, everything. So naturally, if you have a strong following, obviously that's going to draw in viewers. So it's a fine line. It's hard. It's difficult because I do have to consider both, you know, but raw talent is hard to find. And then I think also sometimes when I do meet these actors or these actresses, and then they have all this background, all these, you know, all this theater background, all of this, sometimes they read very fake. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes, because a lot of times they overdo it. You see what I'm saying? Like they're overdo it. Whereas you get these influencers, they're going to give you it more raw, and they're going to give you it more authentic. So it's a fine line. It's a fine line. It's a fine line for me. And it's been but for like when I cast these shows, I'm gonna be honest with you. The first place I'm going to social media. The first place I'm going to social media. I mean, that's the biggest place. I mean, that's where everybody is. You know what I'm saying?
No. Okay, so look, to your point, I get it and I understand. Like I talk to a lot of people in the music industry, and in the music industry, it's all numbers, especially now with streaming and things of that nature. Man, it's all about numbers. It's numbers driven. And that's pretty much what the market is, you know. Trust me. Look, I too one day will love to sit at the boardroom and, you know, man, talk out my own personal platform for a show. But I know at the end of the day, as you said, it's going to be numbers driven. And if your number isn't a certain type of number, then, you know, well, you're not really going to get considered because, yeah, you may have the fit, but you may not have the following.
It's tricky, even for myself. You know, when I apply for these jobs, they're definitely looking at my social media. Now, I'm old school, so you know, social media is hard for me because you know you have to put a lot of time in that. People don't understand that's a job.
That is a job in itself.
That's a job. You got to post at a certain time. You got to your certain content. I mean, everything is like. You know, my little cousin say, your social media is lame. You're right. You know, because guess what? I'm out here really doing stuff. You see what I'm saying? Right. So I don't have the time to put into my own personal social media, but I have to have one. I have to have one. When I apply for a job, they're looking at my social media. They're looking at my resume, obviously, but they are, and not only are they looking at my followers, but they're looking at who I'm following. And they're also looking at what I'm putting on my page. And I tell people all the time, when we're casting, part of the process is not just you, who you are, and what your skill is. Also, what are you putting out there? You know, and I tell people all the time, watch what you put out here, because you could put one bad post and that could disqualify you from an opportunity, and that could have just been a moment, but it lives forever.
Man, look, well, to your point, you know, how many times, you know, do we hear about celebrities and tweets and things that happen? I want to say we just had an incident with the girl from The Office. I can't think of her name, but the girl who played on The Office, come to find out she was in some pageant in Indiana back in like the, I want to say 80s or 90s, but the pageant had a following of white supremacist, you know, beginnings. And, you know, pretty much I knew it wasn't like that, you know, going towards the time that she was in a pageant, but because she was in such pageant, people brought that up. And now, as you said, you know, people are looking at social media, watch what you put out here, because cancel culture is on the loose, and it's
canceled every day. Everybody can get, anybody can get it.
Anybody can get it. If Dr. Seuss can get it, you can get
anybody can get it.
Okay, look, you can get it. Okay, I'm like, okay. Anyway, okay. So let me just ask here. Now we've been talking about projects and things of that nature. Let me ask, like, what projects are you most proud of, or what are some of your favorite projects?
One of my favorite, I would have to say, one of my favorite projects that I've ever worked on was Iyanla Fix My Life for OWN.
Okay. Why?
Because I learned a lot. It was therapy for myself. Not only for myself, but not only was I helping other people, but I actually was able to learn a lot about myself, you know. And I think that working for that network was a great opportunity. It was a great opportunity. I haven't worked on a show like that before. It was very heavy. But at the same time, I was helping people. You know, first of all, I was helping a lot of people of color. You know what I'm saying? So when you actually have the ability to work with people like you who look like you, and people that you could relate to, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody, the problem with a lot of the stuff that goes on is everybody think that everything is glitz and glam, but people are not really living in the reality of things. And so I think for the real reality of things. So I think with that show, I was able to really tap into a lot of things personally about myself that I didn't even really recognize, you know, just a generational curse of a lot of that everybody can go through, but definitely that people of color that we go through. Also dealing with celebrities and things of that nature, that was a great aspect of it. But Iyanla Fix My Life was a great was one of my greater accomplishments, and also the show that I'm working on now.
Okay, which is
a show for VH1. Unfortunately, I cannot say what that name is, but
we ain't gonna get it out yet. But just know
it's gonna be a big deal. And actually, it's the reason why it's so rewarding for me is because it's been a big challenge. And so, but I know in my heart and my soul that even with the challenges, I know it's going to be something huge, you know? So I think now I have mastered what raw talent is. And I think that I'm able to really put my mark on this opportunity. So for me, this show for VH1 is actually my second most favorite project that I've worked on.
Okay, so now let me ask this now. Those are favorite. Passion project. Everybody has a passion project. Me personally, I'm not going front. Man, I want to do a little like Spanish soap opera. You know what I'm saying? For real. Man, that's what I really want to do because I already know. Man, look. Anyway, that's some story for a whole nother day. But that's my passion project. You know, so everybody has a passion project or something they would like to work on. Is there anything that has been produced or something that you would like to see produced that you yourself may want to be part of?
It's so funny that you said that. I'm actually in the process of working on a passion project for myself, and it's a documentary. Okay. I've always wanted to do a documentary. I love documentaries.
I do, yes.
Yeah. So I think that would be my passion, is to have an opportunity to work on a documentary. So that's something that I've actually started up and I'm working on as we speak. So yeah, and I can't say what that name is either.
No. Hey, look here. We ain't giving out. Look here. Look, that's like G14 classified. We can't really be giving out those like types of informations. You know, like okay, all right. I got you. All right. So let me just ask, in your opinion, like what more needs to be done to have more projects of color by people of color? You know, to have more creative control of these projects as well.
I would say in order for us to get more projects where people of color are involved, we have to create them. We have to start talking about it, and we have to actually do it. Because at the end of the day, you know how many times, I take it back, I have to be honest with myself. You know how many things I've created and just in my mind, or I talked about years ago, and now it's on TV? But the difference between me and them is that they execute it. So what we have to do is stop having these pity parties, and we have to execute. Because let me tell you, now the platform is open, it's wide open. So we can't use that as excuse. Well, we don't get opportunities. The opportunities are there, but you got to take them, because if we create them for ourselves, they can get done. Like for me, I'm always embracing projects and especially people of color. Like I'm all about it, and I always embrace them. And like I said before, if it's a great project, I'll support it and I'll make sure it gets heard. But then a lot of people, does that say cap? No cap? A lot of people be capping. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
A lot of capping going around. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll use that excuse. Well, I don't get the opportunity. I'm telling you, bring it to me. And if I like it, I'll make sure that it gets heard. But it's a lot of excuses in it. We got to get out of our own way. We got to set the intention and execute. And then we can have more opportunities. Look at BET. Look at all these. Look at Byron Allen. Look at all these different people who executed, and now look what they're doing. Byron Allen, he's winning.
you know, me personally, and this goes back to some of what we talked about before with the influencers, but not as far as like the studio side or what have you, not the following, but let's just talk about work ethic. All right. You're talking about Byron Allen. Look, and I'm dating myself. I remember when Byron Allen was on That's Incredible on ABC. All right. Friday nights. All right. 7. Okay. Yeah. That's how, man, I'm taking you.
Don't tell your age now, Ty. Don't tell you.
I ain't telling my age, but I'm just saying. You're
right. No, but seriously.
Who has watched a lot of television in their life. Like, I grew up watching TV, but certain types of TV, you know, like, I just have all this knowledge about television in my head, which, God, like, it's just scary sometimes. But, you know, you're using like him as an example. John H. Johnson, or the Johnson, who basically, he started BET, sold it, you know, and now has moved on to other, you know, avenues of media as well. Like, Reginald Hudlin is a person that I think of, you know, who's like undercover, but not really, because if you hang out in certain circles, then you know who Reginald Hudlin is, you know. So it's really about work ethic. And a lot of people, especially like a lot of people like in this day and time, they want the microwave effect. I want to just like, man, put it in, ding, okay, yeah, it's ready. It don't work like that.
Well, let me tell you the problem. Because of social media, have you noticed everybody on social media is rich? Have you noticed that?
Everybody got, look, man.
How is that? I work to the bone. Like, what? Yeah. How do you have Bentleys? And so what I'm saying is that these new kids are seeing that. And they're like, well, all I have to do is, you know what I'm saying? Take some pictures and then I can, so they have this in their mind. And that's so frustrating for me when I'm hiring people, because it's the microwave effect. No, the communication is off. These people don't really want to work hard. These people, I feel like college in a minute is going to be obsolete, because what's happening is that these kids know that they really may not even have to go to college. They can take some YouTube tutorials and get on Instagram and win. So it's really setting us up. Like I say it all the time, you know, what is 20 years going to be like?
Oh, no. See, first and foremost, you thinking too far. Stop that. Christal, what are the next 3 years going to be? Because see, let's just stop for a second. Let's just rewind 13 months.
Say it again, 13
I'm not even going to go 2 years. Let's just rewind the last 13. Okay? Man. Podcast boom.
Crazy.
You know, independent content now everywhere. YouTube, all these other, you know, Twitch, all these other like avenues of streaming or what have you. So on one hand, I am very thankful for the creative side of things. But on the other hand, it's like you said, you know, man, what is TV really going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years? I'm not even, man, 20 is too far down the road. I can't even wrap my mind to see 20.
I'm scared.
And you know, that's the weird thing, because watching TV in the 80s, okay, I remember a certain time, man.
Me too.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we grew up on certain shows, and it's like, okay, 20 years down the road, oh, okay, yeah, I think it'll be more of this, more of us. But now we're at a point, like you said, man, like, if you got a large following, there is no real script. If you can get on here and catfight and nitpick and, you know, man, berate and do all this other stuff, throw drinks in people's faces and what have you, and this, that, and the other, man, okay, look here, the ratings. I love these numbers. Oh, you know what?
Ratings go through the roof.
We got another one. We got another one. You know what? We're going to spin off that. All right. Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. So now let me get into these questions again, you know, because we're running out of time. You know, we over here having our own personal jam session, but that's okay though. Being a creative that loved television as a child, like myself, what was one of your most surreal moments when you first got into the TV industry?
You know what? One of my first surreal moments was the first time I was on set, and just to see everything that goes behind the set, seeing how even the smallest thing was important. You know what I'm saying? And having the opportunity to meet people that I would see on TV all the time. Like you try to check yourself because you don't want to be that person, but it's like, wow, like I can't even believe like I'm standing next to the person that I grew up wanting to be like, you know, and just seeing actually what is involved in TV, what exactly goes on, like how is it laid out? Like to a certain extent, I'll be honest with you, because of what I know about TV, I look at TV so much different now.
Okay, I wanted to ask you that. How has, like, because now that you work in it, how is watching it now for you? Because I know you can't just sit there and watch a normal like television program. Like, you know what, they were late on this, they were late on that. That could have been better.
It's kind of ruined it for me. To be honest with you, because I don't look at TV. I'm dissecting it so much that it's almost like I'm spoiling it for myself. You see what I'm saying? Because I know what goes on, and I can see certain things that, okay, she didn't do that. Okay, even down to the editing. You know, I'm looking at every aspect of it. So I think it has kind of tarnished. You know, that's why I like documentaries. Yes. That's why I like documentaries, because they're raw. That's why I'm drawn to documentaries. You know, but because I know, you know, everything is controlled, you know? So I know that, so I just look at it a little bit different. But in terms of like what really was like the biggest like aha moment for me is when I was on stage, you know, behind those cameras, standing next to the people that I grew up watching and being able to have like actual like input in what was going to happen on that show or on that segment, or you know what I'm saying? Like having the input and seeing my name. Now seeing my name at the end of the credit, that took me out. It like matter of fact, I have a picture in my storage of when I was a researcher. I took that picture because like I have my yearbook. No lie, I have my yearbook and it says my 12th grade year, I want to be a producer for BET. The BET was like the top of the food chain for me. And I want to employ as many people of color as I can. That's in my yearbook right now. And that's from the 90s, you know? So the fact that I can reflect back on that and know that I've done exactly that is huge for me. I didn't even think about Emmys or awards, or I didn't even think I didn't even think that I could even achieve. I don't know anybody with that, you know? So the fact that I was not the kid that won. I wasn't like a sports kid where I had trophies. I never won anything, you know? So I went from not winning anything to an Emmy. That was huge for me, you know? So I think that, you know, that right there, and that was probably the biggest moment of my life, is the fact that when I won that Emmy, and not when I just won that Emmy, but the fact that two of the shows that I was working on was competing against each other at the same time.
She was nominated twice, y'all. That's what she's trying to tell y'all, okay? Twice.
At the same time.
At the same time. So she knew, like, look, if they don't pick this Christal, they're going to pick that Christal.
But like, I feel like, you know, so I do believe that, you know, hard work pays off. Hard work pays off. Well, look, like I said in the beginning, not only does hard work pay off, but when you're passionate and you follow that passion and you have the work ethic, yes, it really does pay off, because you do get, you know, to the level that you want to achieve, you know, and even if you're not at the level that you want to achieve at least you're in the arena to compete. What you put in is what you'll get out, period.
Oh, there you go.
What you put in is what you'll get out. People don't understand that. If you put in 10%, that's what you're going to get back. And a lot of times people aren't feeling entitled. And I hate to say it, you know, we can get caught up in that, feeling like somebody owes us something. Nobody owes you anything. If you have the opportunity, I had the same opportunities as everybody else. I just went in there and I just took it I had it in a chokehold. Yeah. Because I wanted it that bad, you know? So for me, if you put 100% in it, you will get 200% out. But it takes patience. Not when I say patience, people get misled when I say that. Don't just sit there. You
Oh,
know,
no.
you got to work with it, but you also got to be realistic, because it is the microwave era, and everybody think that everything is supposed to happen this and happen. It's like, that's not the way it works, and you're gonna constantly get disappointed if that is your thought process, because that's the biggest letdown. Is that it's thinking that it's gonna be instantaneous. That it's not. It doesn't work like that for everyone.
So is that one of the biggest misconceptions to you about the industry?
Yes, because everything is, I mean, it's so much stuff. I'm not gonna say everything is fake, but the percentage of what's really real out here is is so small that it clouds everything else, you know? So it's very with casting stories or casting shows, is that these people think, I mean, they'll get mad at you if they're not, you know, if they're not casted, or they're not, you know, if they didn't rate, or they'll know that they think that you have control over everything. And it's again, what you put in it is what you'll get out. It's not just about being pretty anymore. It's not just about, you know, what labels you have anymore. It's everything. You got to have everything in order to be a star. And everybody is not a star. And that's the misconception. Everybody is not a star.
Hey y'all, look. I didn't say it. She's a Emmy award-winning casting director, okay? TV producer and casting director. But y'all get mad at me when I say it, okay? And I'm just trying to tell y'all the truth. Don't take my words.
Raw on the cut. This is raw. This is raw on the cut.
It is what it is, okay? So, like she said, you get out what you put in. If you putting in, I ain't even gonna say 10, because that's too much for some people. If you putting in 2%, like milk, yeah, you're gonna get 2% milk back. Same thing, nothing big, okay? Right. You're not great, man. You're not graduating to the next level. There you go. So let me ask this question, Ms. Christal Ransom. If people want to get in contact with you, if they want to follow you on social media, you know, do all these other great things, how can they get in contact with you?
You guys can find me at Christal_Ransom on Instagram, or you can also follow me on Facebook, Christal Ransom as well.
Okay, all right. So now, Ms. Christal Ransom, this brings us to our last question, the question that my show is known for. So I have to present it to you. Here it is. Ms. Christal Ransom, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
It's so funny. That's a hard one. I think the best word that would describe me is consistent. I'm consistently challenge myself to be the best that I can be. So you can call me Consistent Christal, because I'm consistently always trying to get the gold medal.
Okay, consistent. Wow. I love it. Always for the gold. Look, man. Consistent, persistent, whatever it is, one of those ENTs, whichever ENT you want to put on it, you know, look, I think it's great. Like I said, award winner, director, creative, but most important, evolving. Absolutely. I came in one way, y'all, but I'm something totally different now. Okay? Something totally different. Like, I know y'all still thinking about that other Christal. Yeah, I don't know where she went, but this Christal right here, yeah, I mean, this is pretty much where it's at right here. Okay, so yes, evolving and genuine and upfront and truthful. So those are some other words I could definitely say about you and this interview. And like I said, I really thank you for coming on here and just, man, giving us your knowledge and just being real with us.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I have been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Word with Ty Brownlow. Or you could just go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Get this wonderful interview, plus other great interviews. Ms. Christal Ransom, we out. Peace.